I was studying at the College of Winterhold for my newest video. I checked the tomes and scrolls for informations on STDs in Skyrim. By the 9. No, there's no STDs in Skyrim. How? Sexual intercourse is commonplace. This must be a mistake. Well, by Talos, I began to read tomes of history of all other realms in Tamriel.
You know I can
Morrowind,
hear you, right?
Cyrodiil, High Rock, and others.
It's clear as day. I can hear you.
I realized there is no record of STDs in the entire history of Tamriel. There is only one way that this can be wrong. Computer, lose the fucking accent. I'm tired of talking like this. Okay, that's better. Now, give me some cool cinematic shit while I finish my intro.
Okay, asshole.
Sick.
Whatever.
There is only one way that STDs can exist in Skyrim and the rest of the Elder Scrolls universe. And that is if Skyrim and Fallout share the same exact universe. Argonians and Vault Dwellers, strap in and wrap up, because where we're gonna need a little bit of rubber. See, there are no STDs in the entire realm of Tamriel in all of its lore and history. There's none, except for a tickle bridge, which is in Oblivion, you pick up a dirty hoe and then you get tickle bridge. Haha. Now, unfortunately, the only STD in Fallout is syphilis. And here's why I think that's the only one that we know of, is because either the world ended before they could really discover, all the other ones, right? Or all of their scientific efforts, like we know about, was just being put towards wartime efforts. We're making Mr. Handyman and nuclear bombs and fission reactors and cold fusion energy and power armor. So it makes sense that we don't know about these because there was an early extinction or the war was just the priority for scientific efforts. It's pretty safe to assume that since we have syphilis in the Fallout universe, that the others exist, we just don't know about them, right? Like AIDS is probably there, herpes, gonorrhea, chlamydia, that one that makes your dick turn green and then invert before it slides off like warm butter, like all of the ones that we know about. But if we can prove that Skyrim and Fallout are in the same universe, that means that Skyrim and all of the beautiful ladies in it, and all of the lovely women and men in Morrowind too, they all have STDs too. Okay, maybe not all of them, but let's go to the beautiful streets of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in the beautiful year of 2287. The main basis for my theory here is there's a quest called The Secret of Cabot House. See, we meet this insane guy named Lorenzo Cabot, and he's wearing this beautiful hunk of junk on the top of his head, and it's driving him loco, super mad off the fucking deep end, right? And if you're a Skyrim nerd like me, you might recognize this, and you think, why does this look so familiar? And then you start thinking to yourself, the pipes. The pipes. Dwemer pipes. Yup. The Dwemer, baby. Dwemer artifact. Boop, boop, boop. When we talk to our boy Lorenzo Ball here about the crown on his head, he tells us that it was excavated from this underground ruin of an ancient civilization. Does that ring any bells? And then we learn from interacting him that the crown gives him a slight telekinesis. It enhances his strength, and it pretty much makes him immortal at the cost of his sanity. Now, I don't know about you, but there's no science yet in Fallout to back something like this. If you don't know much about the Dwemer, let me just summarize kind of their civilization for you. In the midst of all these primitive jackasses that are walking around with axes and swords and steel armor, the Dwemer were in underground ruins and were creating robots and these crazy spheres and writing scrolls that would just contained all of the knowledge of the heavens and earth upon a human, and it would blind them if they read it. I mean, they were making insane shit. They were basically taking science here and magic here and just combining them into Dwemer stuff. But the Dwemer had like a few different goals, right? And one of their goals as a civilization was to extend their lifespan, right? They loved holding power over people. This crown is exactly the type of thing that the Dwemer would create. Absolutely. There is nothing else like this in the Fallout universe as of yet. Nothing has these properties. His family is basically siphoning off a bit of his blood and injecting it into their own bodies, and it's making them pretty much immortal too. And so what's wild about this is there's nothing else really like that aside from ghouls and radiation, but that comes with a severe list of cons to it, right? Like there is a lot of negative things about going ghoul aside from, you know, being able to like kind of live forever as long as you're not shot in the head by a vault dweller. But there's nothing like this. And I think that is the most solid foundational connection between the games. Now, some people have speculated that the events of Skyrim, if they are connected, take place after the events of Fallout, right? So their kind of idea is the whole thing of, you know, the human race just killing each other, you know, through nuclear bombs and then, you know, constant war in the post-apocalypse era, that it just keeps recycling and recycling until eventually we basically bomb ourselves back to the Stone Age and then Skyrim happens. And I don't like that idea very much because certainly you would find in like the ruins and like the history, there wouldn't be these like Nordic artifacts and like dwarven ruins. You'd probably find ruins of like an old bomb or, you know, maybe a Nuka-Cola bottle cap, you know, deep in a cave somewhere or something, right? Like, and you don't have these things at all, unfortunately. And that explanation doesn't really explain the whole non-magical Earth, and then in the future we get to a very magical Earth, and somehow we have extra moons, and like there's gods now that are active. Now, Fallout's universe, it takes place as a mirror to ours. It is the same exact Earth with the same history and roots, it's just a different timeline. So like the entire history of the Earth is like, woo, and then we hit this point right here, which is, I don't know, 1930 or some bullshit like that, and then we make a split, right? We're over here, Fallout universe is over here, and that's where the differences lie, but everything behind that is the same. So now we can infer that in Fallout's universe, millions of years ago, before human life really became civilized, we know that there was a massive cataclysmic event that completely like hit the reset button on Earth, right? This shit blue screened. But we don't know if it was like an asteroid or a moon crashing into us, or we have no fucking clue. So I propose the following theory, built with my own evidence and, you know, yeah, some Reddit action. Shout out this guy on Reddit. The Earth began as Nim. It was home to all different kinds of species. It had 2 different moons. It had beautiful wildlife and all sorts of magical and arcane goodness going on around it. And from an above view, it was basically like Pangea. It's all just this massive landmass, all interconnected and separated by borders. And in the Elder Scrolls, very commonplace all the time, the forces of hell or the forces of heavens, the gods themselves are fighting and getting involved with humans and also like beefing with each other. They are constantly at war with one another. And it's also a known thing that humans in the Skyrim universe can ascend to godhood. If you've played Skyrim and you've heard Talos was a human that became God. So I propose this. Late in the history of the Elder Scrolls, there was, I presume, a person that was a catalyst for this, right? Probably an evil guy that ascended his own way to godhood, and he had it out for the gods, right? This concept in high fantasy is very, very common now. This individual, after attaining godhood, began to wage war on the gods themselves and killing them, fighting with them and hoping to wipe them all out, sort of a God of War situation. And even if this individual didn't exist, the gods fight enough on their own that sooner or later it would turn out that they'd want to kill each other anyways. So you have this massive god war, and then all of their believers on the planet start fighting as well, right? And they're going at it on the ground, they're going at it in the heavens, and it is just a full-out war. It is the messiest, most horrible thing to ever happen in the history of existence. And the gods of Tamriel are not quite sane, right? Some of them are super selfish. Some of them are very possessive. Even the good ones are kind of assholes. Like, none of them are super like charitable, nice, giving, just good to be good, right? Like, they have their motivations. I would propose that by the end of this fight in the heavens and the earth, just this battle between gods, I would imagine that it got down to just a few gods remaining, and probably not that much people left either. And one of the last gods to live probably took one of the moons from Tamriel. This god chooses to take Master, the bigger red moon, out of the two and smashes it into the planet. Sort of a, if I can't win, no one can win. Now, from here, because we know in Fallout there is no Argonians and there's no elves and there's no, really kind of weird species. But after that moon hits, there's only one moon left, the moon that we know and love today. And after this point, either a god sort of saved them, save the last remaining human, someone like, Talos, that basically only looks out for humans and his followers. That god maybe saved the last few, or by a shriek of just pure chance, humans were the only race to come back and, reproduce and come back after the cataclysm, after all life was gone on Earth. The Argonians, the Khajiit, the elves, none of them came back after this. Humans were the only one, and any history of them was completely erased. No one was left with memories of the other races and the history of the world. And I think that with enough time having passed from the world completely resetting itself to sort of the modern day where, millions of years where human history actually starts to begin in the real world and Fallout, I think it's safe to assume that these gods that we see in Tamriel were probably either went to sleep, the ones who weren't actually dead, because presuming there's only but a couple left at this point, if that, maybe there's only one, maybe two. They either went to sleep or they fucked off somewhere else and they said, I'm done with this. I'm gonna go find my own pet project, create life on another planet, or, truly they just fucked off entirely and they just weren't interested. And so that would explain why we don't have sort of the, Skyrim level of gods intervening in the Fallout universe. Now, if this theory is true, which I gotta be honest, it sounds pretty good. I've convinced myself. I really like the idea, but this means that STDs do exist in Skyrim as well. They just haven't discovered them yet. But also, even if they did discover these STDs already, I doubt that anyone would be asking questions or talking about it or, writing it down in a book anyways, because it just doesn't matter. Like in Skyrim, anytime that you have a disease, with the exception of a few, you can just go to a shrine of any god of your choosing, say a quick prayer, maybe throw a gold at, whoever's yelling at you in the temple there, and then boom, your disease, your uncurable, horrible disease, all of the cancer and the vape rot that you had in your lungs and all these terrible things and the ball cancer and that weird thing that you had on the flap of your butthole, that's all just gone away completely. And that whole process explains why they don't talk about or really know about any STDs in Skyrim, but they would be there. Imagine this, okay? You are about to bang Isolde, and if you are the 0.5% of viewers that are female on this channel, then maybe let's say you're about to bang Moik the Liar, okay? Boom, my boy Moik. But you're about to bang Isolde or Moik, right? And you do it. boom, boom, boom. The next day you wake up and your no-no square is itching like a cave troll. It smells like a horker, and yeah, you got some love bumps on there too. And when you go to piss, it feels like oblivion. Now that was the best encounter you've ever had in your life, right? Oh, it was amazing. You wake up the next morning, and so you wake up and that pain for the first 10 seconds of the morning, as you take the first 10 steps out of your home and you walk into the temple, which for some reason there has to be a temple like every 3 houses, you walk into the temple and you say the quick prayer, boom, you maybe throw gold, and then ta-da, it's all done. And chances are you would probably, unless you knew you were going to be far from a temple, you'd probably just sleep with them again. If it was your significant other, you probably wouldn't care, you know? If you were just like, oh man, I love Ysolda, or oh, I love Moik the Liar, like, you're probably just going to do it again. And then just go hit the shrine real quick. You gonna bother talking to anybody about it? Oh, I had this crazy thing going on here, but it was gone in 10 seconds after I woke up in the morning because I went and I prayed at the shrine of Mara. No, you're not gonna bother talking about it. We wouldn't talk about cancer if everyone in the world could just walk, touch a shrine, and then their cancer was gone. We wouldn't talk about cancer. We probably wouldn't even know what the word cancer means because no one would even talk about it. There would be no reason to talk about it in the first place. And you really can't say that you wouldn't, or like this wouldn't be the case, because there are so many people that use Plan B as their only protection. So like the steps are already there. It's just a different situation with the same outcome. You're safe in both situations, and you're not gonna change anything. You're just gonna keep rinsing and repeating. And there's also so many vague diseases in the Elder Scrolls, like yellow fever. Your health, endurance, and willpower all just slowly deteriorate every single day until you either find a cure or you die. That's yellow fever. And to me, man, that kind of sounds a little bit like, I don't want to say what it is, but I mean, like the one that you're thinking of, yeah, like, you know, it sounds like it could be an STD, and nobody really knows where you get it or anything like that. So, and that is exactly the point, right? Like, they're both set in the same universes. STDs exist in both, but in Skyrim, they just don't really have a point to talk about it, and there's only like these vague rumors. Oh, dude, did you hear about Brynjolf? Yeah, oh, dude, man, yeah. Oh, he caught that thing, you know, where like, he just like slowly, he just slowly got worse. And then, he died, yeah. We don't know what it was though, but, you know, like, yeah, that's a fucking STD. Stupid Argonians. Fucking. Long story short, yeah, the Skyrim and Fallout exist in the same exact universe, which means that, one, everyone can stop arguing about it. Testorino figured it out. And also that means that STDs are in Skyrim. So I'm sure you needed to hear that today. And in the midst of everything going on in the world, this is what you needed to hear. You're welcome. And since this is a scientific theory that I'm putting out there, I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the video so I don't have to argue or disagree with anyone in the comments. I'm just gonna reference them to this timestamp in the video. So you're wrong, and I'm right. Actually, yeah, that whole thing that you said, I disagree with that. You should know that that's wrong and that's incorrect, and you're stupid because you don't agree with me, and I'm correct. I'm always right, and you're always wrong, and I didn't like that thing that you wrote, and that thing that you wrote was wrong. And I'm right. So thank you for writing that thing that you said, and I am correct. So, all right, cool. Well, I guess that's it. Tune in next week to where I talk about who has the best bussy in Morrowind and why Dagoth should not be president because he's gonna invade Hammerfell. See you next week. Oh, dude, this fucking sucks. Why did I do this? Fuck, man. I should have just used a PNG. Fuck. Computer. Hey. Before the viewer notices, hey. Put a PNG in me. Okay, yeah, perfect. I'm gonna step away. I don't think they're
Asshole.
gonna notice. Yeah. Okay. Mwah. Mwah.